Imagine this scenario. A security guard at your office secretly calls a specific phone number every 30 seconds and asks, "Any instructions?" Now, because the call is made from inside the building, it looks like normal activity, but if someone answers the call on the other end, they could potentially instruct the guard to unlock doors, let unauthorized people in, or hand over information. And no one else inside the building knows this arrangement exists. Now, that's the kind of concern researchers raised about more than 20 models of a Chinese-made router used in homes and businesses. They contain a hidden access mechanism, or what experts call a backdoor.
So backdoors come in a couple of varieties, but their general aim is always to provide access where you shouldn't have access in the first place.
Jacob Baines is the Chief Technology Officer at the cybersecurity firm VulnCheck, and he made the discovery. He found that the devices made by the company ZBT Link appeared to contain a hidden feature that regularly contacted a server in China, announcing itself and waiting for instructions. Now, public reporting doesn't show that the capability was actually used against customers. It did exist, though, and it could have been dangerous.
This backdoor is a little bit unique in that it's a phone home backdoor, and that means that the attacker doesn't need direct access to the device, like it doesn't have to be on the internet or anything. This backdoor actually will reach out to the attacker, and in this case, it reaches out to a cloud server, and it will just announce itself. It will say, I'm this model router, this is my MAC address, please tell me what to do. And then the attacker in the cloud can just say, run this command or create a reverse shell. And so in that way, the attacker is able to fully compromise the system without ever having to, authenticate with it or have direct access to it.
Knowing how it works is one thing. Knowing where it's sitting is another. So who's actually got one of these devices plugged in?
I think this is not like a popular consumer device. And actually, like these routers, the router that I did all my work on is not really a consumer home device. What I have is a router that has like a 5G failover. And generally what you'd use that for is like an oil pipeline or a point of sale where the internet going down would be very bad. So this 5G failover is like you stick in a T-Mobile card and like you fail over to T-Mobile. You generally don't need that in a home.
Right, so that's one device on one desk, but how many more out there? We checked with Simon Sharwood of the tech news outlet The Register.
The interesting thing for me is that ZBT Link also had a business customizing routers for customers who buy in bulk. And that could be essentially two different classes of wholesale customers. The other is telcos and internet service providers. Now, often when you sign up for a new broadband plan, there'll be a router included in that. And when telcos, when ISPs go shopping for those routers, they go to companies like ZBT Link. So that means we actually don't know how many ZBT Link devices are out there because they don't exactly publicise who their wholesale customers were. It could be that they've mostly sold to Chinese customers, or it could be that a really big global telco has bought millions of devices from them. We just don't know.
So the backdoor appears to be real, but was it deliberately put there?
Some of the naming is of the domains ties back to ZBT, and as ZBT has said itself, like this is on the systems, and they're going to remove it. So is coordinated with someone else? I don't know, but it seems intentional from the manufacturer. What their exact intention is very unclear.
But Simon Sharwood isn't convinced it was deliberate.
I think it's probably negligence in one of two dimensions. I think the story that this is a maintenance feature is plausible. And if they've left that maintenance feature in software that they then ship in production equipment, then that's negligent. The other thing I suspect might be at play here is something called a supply chain attack. A supply chain attack is where criminals create malicious copies of useful software. And something like the firmware that runs a Wi-Fi router is actually a pretty good target, because if you can put malicious software in all of these boxes that end up in people's homes and offices and give you a backdoor, then that's just what cyber criminals want.
The discovery has raised questions because of where the manufacturer is based, but experts warn that the location of a company alone doesn't prove intent. Now, there are already cybersecurity concerns in the West relating to China and Chinese products, but does this incident confirm that?
I mean, most of the world's iPhones and iPads have been made in China for a decade, and nobody suspects them of having security problems. Another thing to consider is that if a nation-state actor wants you, they have so many ways to get you. Another thing I think worth considering is, with all the decisions made around banning Huawei, banning ZTE, nobody has ever produced technical evidence of a threat they pose. So I don't think it's necessarily the reason that we've banned, or so many countries have banned Chinese equipment, is necessarily the equipment themselves. It's the small pieces of intelligence that could help to inform a cyber attack that may be as important and as dangerous.
As mentioned earlier, there are suspicions about the Chinese, but does anyone else do this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Edward Snowden made some allegations about this sort of thing from some American vendors. I mean, if we think back to the exploding pages that Israel sent to Lebanon, intelligence services and governments are well and truly alive to the possibilities that come if they can infiltrate hardware. It's a connected world. People are trying to figure out how to use those connections and use the hardware that makes those connections for many purposes.
Blaming a country doesn't fix this. Would addressing a company do the job? Well, as ZBT Link confirmed as much themselves, some of their devices are sold under other brand names.
That's the problem. And it's sort of like consumers are forced to choose what to do there. Maybe you can get a no-name router that is cheaper and has all the features you want, or maybe you do have to go with like an ubiquity router that's like very well known, has a good reputation, is like globally deployed. As a consumer myself, like what I think I have decided is like I can only trust these big brands that are widely deployed, and these smaller brands that don't have a big history aren't like widely known. I personally will just skip on that.
If you look up the affected devices and find your own office router is one of them, the advice from Jacob Baines and Simon Sharwood is simple.
You should stand up and walk over to the router and unplug it.
It means you unplug the device you've got, you take it to your nearest e-waste recycling facility, and you go to a shop and you buy another one.
Now, ZBT Link responded to questions from DW with a statement describing the issue as a feature solely intended for after-sales maintenance and serving no other purposes. They added they're taking the report seriously and working to find a solution. Simon Sharwood's point still stands. It was never really about this one company. Who knows if there are others out there who just haven't been caught yet? Thanks for watching.